from the bottom of my soul. And what came up and what came out was huge. It was an undescribable pain that resonated throughout my body. His wife and daughter had been in Costa Rica 3 weeks prior. She's homeschooled, and this was part of an immersion program. And so that was the last week, was for the husbands to come. And this was the fun part. I think maybe chest deep, even at that, maybe waist deep, there was an undertow. And my son was not an experienced swimmer. He did not know how to, he was unsure. She was not in the water. He was with another gentleman. The same thing happened to the other gentleman, but he was a more experienced swimmer, and he was able to rescue himself. But Malcolm was not.
Breaking news has shaken Hollywood to its foundation. Fans around the globe are still reeling from the loss of Malcolm Jamal Warner, the actor who became a household name as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. At only 54 years old, his sudden death has left both the entertainment industry and the public in shock. When the first reports came in, they painted a heartbreaking yet noble picture. The story claimed that Malcolm had drowned in Costa Rica while saving his young daughter from powerful ocean waves. It sounded like the ultimate sacrifice, a father giving his life so that his child could live. For a moment, the world mourned while holding onto that image of Malcolm as a real-life hero. Social media lit up with tributes, and news outlets repeated the story with admiration. But then, the truth began to unravel. For the first time since her son's passing, Malcolm's mother, Pamela Warner, stepped forward to speak. Her voice, heavy with grief, shattered the carefully constructed tale. According to her, Malcolm's daughter was never drowning. She was not even in the water. Instead, she stood safely on the shore, only a few feet from dry sand, watching everything unfold. That revelation destroyed the original narrative in an instant. There was no daring rescue, no last act of heroism. The version of events that the media fed to the world was nothing more than a painful illusion, a beautiful lie, as Pamela described it. Yet her words carried even darker undertones. She revealed that Malcolm was not alone in the water. Another man was with him, struggling in the same current. That man survived. He left the ocean alive and has remained silent ever since. He has never given an interview, never spoken to Malcolm's family, never explained what really happened beneath those waves. Who is this man? Why has he chosen silence when his testimony could bring answers? What secrets does he hold? Leaked reports only deepened the mystery. While Malcolm's body showed signs of drowning, documents also suggested unusual marks and bruises, injuries that didn't match what one would expect from being pulled under by the sea. Whispers spread quickly. Was this really an accident? Or was there something far more sinister at play? In the first hours after his death, confusion mixed with grief. News outlets painted a tragic but inspiring picture. A father running into dangerous waters to save his child, trading his life for hers. Hollywood stars expressed admiration, while fans around the globe described him as a symbol of courage. But within days, Pamela Warner's statements tore that comforting story apart. Her grief was raw, her voice unsteady, but her message could not be ignored. Her son's daughter had never needed saving. Malcolm wasn't rescuing anyone. He was caught in a deadly undertow, fighting for his life, while his child stood helpless on the sand. That revelation shocked everyone. If the initial reports were false, who spread them? Why was the truth twisted into a heroic narrative? And what did the media gain from pushing it so forcefully? Grief soon turned into suspicion. The most haunting detail Pamela shared was that another man had been in the water with Malcolm. This man battled the same waves, yet somehow made it back to land alive. Since that day, he has not spoken publicly. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said he was simply a stranger who happened to be nearby. Others claimed he was a business partner, someone Malcolm had been clashing with over money and contracts. If those whispers are true, the situation changes dramatically. Imagine two men in the ocean. One survives, the other doesn't, and the survivor refuses to explain what really happened. That silence is deafening. More troubling details began surfacing. Confidential medical notes hinted at marks on Malcolm's body that raised serious questions. Scratches, bruises, and injuries inconsistent with a straightforward drowning suggested there might have been more than water involved. Was there a struggle in those final moments? Did Malcolm fight to stay alive while the other man escaped? Did someone fail to help him or worse, hold him back? Theories multiplied online. Hashtags demanding justice appeared across platforms, and speculation spread faster than facts. The tragedy was no longer just about loss. It became a storm of suspicion, conspiracy, and unanswered questions. Beyond the headlines and rumors, the human cost is heartbreaking. Malcolm's 8-year-old daughter was forced to watch her father slip beneath the waves. She stood frozen on the shore, powerless as events unfolded before her eyes. Witnesses later recalled her cries echoing long after rescuers pulled Malcolm's body to shore. For a child, that memory is not just trauma, it is a scar carved deep into her heart, an image she will carry for life. Pamela herself described the moment she received the call. Her scream, she said, came from the depths of her soul. Neighbors rushed to her home, shaken by the raw sound of a mother losing her child. Her words pierced through news broadcasts. It was a cry that could never be silenced. While Pamela spoke openly, others chose silence. Malcolm's wife, Tanisha, remained quiet for weeks. When she finally posted on Instagram, it was a single wedding photo with a short caption expressing her heartbreak. On the surface, it seemed like a widow's tribute, yet whispers spread that she was under pressure, her grief polished into controlled statements instead of genuine emotion. Pamela hinted at the same suspicion. "They don't want you to know what really happened to my son," she said. Her words turned her from a grieving mother into a figure of defiance, someone willing to fight against powerful forces to uncover the truth. Local cost or reach on media added fuel to the fire. Reports suggested the resort Malcolm was staying at had unregistered guests that night, people who never appeared in official records. Strangely, the police closed the investigation within days, ruling it accidental despite suspicious injuries and unanswered questions. Why the rush? Why were potential witnesses never interviewed? Why did authorities push to close the case so quickly? The puzzle pieces refused to fit together. Vacationers later stepped forward with unsettling accounts. Some said they saw Malcolm arguing with a man by the pool hours before he entered the ocean, the subject of the fight. Money and betrayal. Others claimed they heard raised voices, with Malcolm trying to calm the situation. Yet none of these testimonies ever appeared in official reports. It was as if the witnesses had been silenced, their words erased before they could matter. Amid all the mystery, one fact remains unbearable. An 8-year-old girl watched her father die. She saw the frantic attempts to resuscitate him. She heard the cries of strangers trying to bring him back. The memory is a nightmare she will never escape. For her, the truth matters more than anyone else. And yet, the truth remains buried under layers of silence. Pamela Warner has become the face of that fight. Her grief is unending, but her determination is unshakable. "My son was not just taken by the water," she said. "He was taken by betrayal." Those words sent shockwaves through television screens and social media. Betrayal implies intent, deceit, and the horrifying possibility that someone close to Malcolm let him drown when they could have saved him. Now the world is caught between mourning and suspicion. Fans who admired him for decades feel robbed not only of his presence, but of the truth. Every unanswered question cuts deeper. Why has the mysterious man never been identified? Why did police rush to close the investigation? Why did Hollywood figures push the narrative of a hero's death instead of waiting for facts? And most chilling of all, was Malcolm's death an accident, or something darker? Pamela's determination has ignited a global conversation. Supporters around the world echo her demand for answers, using hashtags, petitions, and protests to keep the case alive. But until someone breaks the silence, the mystery will continue to haunt Hollywood. What really happened to Malcolm Jamal Warner in those waters? The question lingers like an echo in the night. And until the truth surfaces, this tragedy will remain one of Hollywood's most unsettling and unforgettable mysteries. A grieving mother has turned her personal pain into a worldwide demand for justice. Every time she speaks, her words carry more than grief. They echo the unfinished story of a man gone too soon and the lifelong trauma of a little girl who lost her father before her eyes. The deeper the world looks into this story, the clearer it becomes that it is not only about Malcolm anymore. It is also about the dark side of Hollywood, the hidden machinery of fame, contracts, and money secrets buried so deeply that powerful people would rather see a family torn apart than risk those secrets coming to light. At the center of it all is Pamela Warner, Malcolm's mother. She refuses to back down, and because of her persistence, one question grows louder each day: who killed Malcolm Jamal Warner? The story has become more than a tragedy, it has become a storm. Pamela's revelations shook the world, but the scandal soon took an even darker turn, one that no one was truly prepared for. For months, people speculated online about the mysterious man who had been with Malcolm in the water. Social media threads and gossip columns described him as a shadowy figure. Suddenly, this unknown man became the center of a global scandal that threatened to rip Hollywood apart. Whispers began to circulate. This was not just a casual companion. Some insiders claimed that he had been tied to secret business dealings with Malcolm, partnerships that had soured, leaving behind grudges that were never resolved. Now, this same man who survived the waves that claimed Malcolm found himself under public suspicion. He was accused of leaving Malcolm behind in his most desperate moment. Soon, leaked messages began appearing online, allegedly between Malcolm and this man. They hinted at financial disputes, thinly veiled threats, and warnings that suggested their relationship was much more complicated than friendship. The content painted a picture of tension that many believed might have played a role in Malcolm's death. Every screenshot, every text fragment was torn apart by the public, shared millions of times across social media. Fans found themselves torn between mourning their beloved actor and questioning whether someone close to him had betrayed him or worse, helped bring about his death. Through it all, Pamela's voice thundered across the internet. My son didn't die because of the waves. He died because the people around him chose silence over truth. Her words became a rallying cry. Millions demanded answers. Petitions and online campaigns began calling for a full investigation. Journalists in both the United States and Costa Rica faced pressure to reopen inquiries. But the official responses that came back were vague, evasive, and suspicious in the eyes of the public. The tragedy grew heavier when Malcolm's daughter's trauma entered the spotlight. She had witnessed her father's lifeless body being pulled from the water. She had seen failed attempts to revive him. Her pain became a symbol of the cruelty behind this incident. Psychologists, celebrities, and everyday people demanded she be protected from the spotlight while the truth about her father's death was uncovered. Social media flooded with hashtags. Hashtag justice for Malcolm, hashtag who is the man, hashtag truth for Malcolm. What had started as a private family tragedy became an international movement. Then came the leak that shocked the world. A Costa Rican insider claimed that resort surveillance footage showed Malcolm fighting for his life in the water, while the other man swam safely to shore. More disturbing still, the footage allegedly captured a shadowy third figure on the beach, someone who appeared to be signaling or communicating with the man in the water. Was this simply coincidence? Or was Malcolm intentionally abandoned? Conspiracy theories exploded. Some suggested that powerful figures in Hollywood had orchestrated the event to silence Malcolm or protect their own secrets. Pamela, determined not to let her son's story be buried, began sharing personal details that painted a fuller picture of Malcolm. He was not just a talented actor and loving father, he was also a man quietly battling corruption within the industry. He had debts, he had enemies, he had been silenced before. And Pamela believed that some of the same people now praising him in glossy magazine tributes had once tried to exploit him. Her words struck like lightning. Malcolm was bigger than the screen. His voice carried power, and that power made him dangerous to people who wanted him quiet. I believe his death was not just tragic, it was convenient. Even Malcolm's widow's Instagram post, once seen as a raw expression of grief, came under new scrutiny. Some read it as a signal to insiders that she would remain silent. Others saw it as nothing more than heartbreak. But either way, it became fuel for further speculation. Meanwhile, cost a reach on authorities, once praised for quickly resolving the case, were now under global scrutiny. Why had the investigation ended so fast? Why had eyewitness accounts been ignored? Why were unregistered guests at the resort never questioned? Every unanswered question became a thread online, unraveling into theories of cover-ups and hidden agendas. The most devastating revelation came from Malcolm's daughter. In the immediate aftermath, she reportedly whispered something to Pamela, "Mama, the man. He didn't save Papa." Those words, innocent, simple, yet chilling, spread across the internet like fire. The thought of a child not only grieving her father, but also processing what seemed like betrayal broke hearts around the world. Pamela's next step was bold. She announced the creation of a foundation in Malcolm's name. Its purpose was twofold: to support young artists like Malcolm once was, and to uncover the truth behind his death. Every donation and every share became more than just support. It was a stand against the silence she believed had killed her son. But the conspiracy only deepened. Leaked audio surfaced, allegedly capturing Hollywood producers discussing ways to manage the narrative and keep the media from digging too deep. Anonymous sources claimed Malcolm had disputes over contracts and intellectual property disputes that may have angered powerful figures with the means to silence him permanently. Social media became a wildfire of theories, investigative threads, and memes. The internet had turned Malcolm's death into more than a tragedy. It had become a cultural reckoning. Through it all, Pamela Warner became a symbol of strength. Her grief was real. Her anger was sharp. Her determination was unshakable. Speaking directly to the world, she said, "This was my son, my heart, and no one will silence his story. Not the waves, not the industry, not even fear." Her words went viral within minutes, sparking fresh outrage and renewed demands for accountability. By then, Malcolm's death was no longer seen as a simple accident. It had transformed into something much larger, a story about power, betrayal, and the fight for truth. Millions of eyes stayed glued to every update, every interview, every leaked message, and haunting every conversation were three questions. Who was the man in the water? Who was the shadow on the beach? Was Malcolm's death truly an accident, or was it something darker, meant to be buried forever? The world may never have all the answers, but one thing is certain: Malcolm's legacy will not fade. His mother's relentless fight has turned one family's tragedy into a global demand for justice. Every tweet, every video, every post carries his story forward. His memory lives not only in the roles he played, but in the fire of those who refused to let his death be forgotten. This story does not end here. It beats in the hearts of everyone who watched the tragedy unfold, in every screen that replayed the haunting details, in every tear shed by those who felt the injustice. What began as a drowning accident has become a story of betrayal, unanswered questions, and whispers of conspiracy. Pamela has forced the world to look beyond the polished headlines and confront the unfiltered truth. This was not just a man lost to the ocean. This was a life stolen under circumstances too suspicious to ignore. And until answers are found, mourning alone will not be enough. His daughter deserves justice. His story deserves to be told honestly. The world deserves the truth. Do not scroll past. Do not let it fade. Engage, share, demand. Because Malcolm Jamal Warner's story is not just about fame, it is a warning. It is a reminder that some truths are too powerful to stay hidden, and some legacies are too vital to be silenced. The fight for answers is far from over.